Hi and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Netflix's original series Orange is the New Black Season 7 and kind of recap on the whole of the whole story. So back in 2013, Netflix released this 13 episodes of Orange is the New Black, and it wasn't until a little while later did it kind of really get its audience, find its captive audience, and then it began to reap in the awards. And since then we've had 6 seasons, and now obviously we've got another 13 episodes, the 7th season, where they're wrapping up the storyline, and it's 13 episodes, all almost an hour long. The last, the 13th episode is an hour and a half. And it really is kind of like a tour de force of writing, scripting, acting. Everything here is done really well.
Ice cream.
And if you've watched any of the episodes, as I presume you have if you're watching a Season 7 review, then you'll know how good the actors have been developed. It all started with Piper when she was put into jail, and they gave you the illusion of in Season 1 where she might be able to get out, and that was her whole being, her whole will to kind of get out of jail. And obviously since then you see these characters get developed inside of jail and outside of jail, all kind of interweaving these multiple storylines that get thrown out on occasion, that get kind of rehashed as new seasons come along. And I do think that some of the seasons were in my opinion, I'm not going to say less, but there were definitely seasons that were better in storytelling. For example, the Riot season in Season 5, I thought from going from Season 4 to what happened in Season 5 and seeing the character developments and the journeys the characters went on in Season 5 really kind of changed the platform or the storyline in Season 6, and with new jails and new characters, kind of changing the kind of the pace and tone.
Oh my gorgonzola.
So there's this format that they use where to develop a character, you'll see something going on, whether it's in jail, whether it's outside of jail, and then you'll have a flashback. So if it's a character that they want to develop more, they'll have these flashbacks, and the flashbacks aren't cheesy, they're done really well. You get to see a kind of a snapshot of their life, and throughout the 6 seasons that we've had so far, they've done this where you've really gotten to see what makes these characters tick, why they're in jail or why they're not in jail. You get to see some of the guards, or who become the new warden, which is quite fun to see. You kind of can try and guess who's going to be the new warden, like with each season. It's almost that way. And there are characters that you love to hate and hate to love. They're all very well written. There's this thing in writing and story development that your story can only be as good as your bad guys, but in this they find it a really interesting flow because it's not black and white, and they aren't afraid to touch on really deep, dark themes.
It is unnerving.
In Season 7, I'm happy to say they haven't changed the format to make it a kind of wrap-up series. I was most worried about that they were just going to be like saying goodbye the whole time and kind of stretch out the season. And thankfully, Season 7 is really interesting. They don't hold back, they continue to take chances right from the get-go. Even from episode 1, they're being really creative with what they're doing. My wife watched some of the episodes with me, and she happened to walk into the room when I was watching episode 1 of Season 7, and she was like, wow, that is so creative. I love what they're doing. They're really kind of pushing the boundaries. This is are you sure you're watching a prison series? And I was like, yeah, this is how good every season is. It really is a tour de force of writing and character development. I know some seasons aren't as good as others, but I think they've managed to capture the heart of what Orange is the New Black represents, and it has definitely a strong fan base, but I think they've managed to capture everything they wanted to for Season 7. And so without giving any spoilers, because Netflix have given me quite a list of things I cannot say about the characters and what happens, you can expect some major stuff to go on in Season 7. There are characters that get out, there are characters that don't, there are characters that I'm really beating around the bush, there are characters that perhaps get hurt or die, or that happens in every season, and I'm not going to say who, but if you're invested in these characters, you're going to feel some emotional punches in this. And I think that's pretty much the same with every series. One of the things I remember someone telling me about this series, it's a prison series, and that's not for men, you shouldn't be watching that, that's not your demographic. What I can say, that's a load of rubbish. This demographic is for everybody because they touch on themes that are so relevant and working now today. So yeah, it's about women in prison, but it's about so much more than that. It deals with how people get... It deals with issues that I believe are relevant in prison today, whether it's men or women. It deals with rape. It deals with abuse. It deals with all the dark things that you sometimes find series that they beat around the bush. They'll kind of scrape the surface, but here they really kind of go into it and then delve into the psyche of people within the writing, with how they deal with the loss of a loved one, or how they deal with sexuality, and they show that all on the screen very well through writing and scripting. Some of the best I've seen since The West Wing. I think it's brilliantly done. And there is this sequence at the end within the credits where they're kind of saying goodbye, which I think is beautiful and it's well done. And I can say I was a little bit disappointed because I kind of wanted it to be wrapped up in a nice neat bow, but this series has never been that. It's always been about the character development. It's always been quite real as well. Life isn't a bunch of roses, that's what they're saying. Sometimes you get a bit of a happy ending, and sometimes life just throws you another brick and you've got to deal with it. It's interesting to see how the characters deal with that. So it very quickly became not about Piper, although the Piper character is the driving force and arc around the series, which they kind of interweave in all of the seasons. And she is again kind of the arc for this, but there are so many characters that they've developed over the time, and I've had my favorite. Sometimes it's been the warden, sometimes it's been one of the prisoners, sometimes it's been one of the guards, although generally the guards are the bad guys. But they're so interesting the way they write these characters and the way they are portrayed and acted. I couldn't really list all the characters I love because there are so many. There are actresses that you'll notice from other series that you love, like Catherine Captain Janeway of the Starship Voyager.
Objection noted.
She plays this Russian lady that's incredible. Her performance and her voyage sorry about the pun, and her voyage as in a character arc is incredible. But that's not just singular, that happens for pretty much every character. They have this amazing arc that's been written in. You can see that they knew where they were going.
I'm scared that I'm not myself in here.
It is kind of a bittersweet ending, but you can see why Netflix has gotten so many awards, why this series is one of their flagship series. They had House of Cards, Stranger Things, and Orange is the New Black, and it's kind of the main three ones that have really kind of thrust Netflix as a contender with awards, you know, winning, like, look at what we can do. This is the kind of caliber you can expect from us. And that's not to be said about all of Netflix's content, but this is great. It is an 18, so you do get a lot of adult content, but that gives them a platform to not really hold back on anything. And I never believed that it was ever showcasing it for purpose, like here's a bunch of gratuity, here's a bunch of drugs on screen. It always had a reason to push the story forward. If you haven't seen any of Orange is the New Black and you've been umming and ahhing about whether you should get involved in this series, I don't know what you're doing watching season 7, but do go. I think I've managed to not spoil anything, hopefully. I think you should watch it. It's one of the best pieces of writing and acting I've seen for TV in a long time, and I think it kind of finishes it well. It's so nice to have a series that wraps up, that kind of knew where it was going. Yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about Orange is the New Black as a whole. Are you excited to watch a season 7? Are you a little bit kind of sad and will be bittersweet when you see it? Let me know in the comments below and I'll chat to you there. Thanks so much for watching this review. I hope I have not spoiled anything, because I think this is one that people are looking forward to, so that I endeavor not to spoil anything. Yeah, but I'm eager to hear what you think about Orange is the New Black coming to an end, and what you think about the series as a whole. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.